Right now, we will have the second announcement of the day, and this is coming from the part of Partisia blockchain and the CyberPeace Institute. And I left you to give a further introduction of what is going to be in the program.
Thank you, Fabiola. So good morning, everybody. Thanks for showing up so early after last night's parties. Today, we would like to share a new partnership between the CyberPeace Institute and Partisia blockchain, how blockchain is the new weapon against cybercrime and cyber attacks, especially against the most vulnerable, which are the NGOs and the populations that they're trying to protect. So first person I'd like to introduce is Stefan Dugan, the CEO of the CyberPeace Institute, who will be followed by Kurt Nielsen, who is also my boss at Partisia Blockchain, the president of the Partisia Blockchain Foundation.
I think you can hear me like this. I hope. Yes, thank you. Good morning, and it's a pleasure to be here this morning. Indeed, a bit early, but that's nice for announcement, especially with what we try to achieve here. So my name is Stéphane Duguin. I'm the CEO of the CyberPeace Institute, and it's a pleasure to be here with Kurt, with Partisia, to announce this partnership. So a real project to address a issue that I'm not sure everyone knows about. And this is the issue of cyber attacks, the threat landscape, which is impacting specifically civil society, NGOs, in one word, in two words, in fact, the humanitarian sector. So it may not be known so much, but the humanitarian sectors and then NGO, which are the blood of this sector, are constantly under attack. And for the past years, we see a sharp increase in the numbers and type of attacks against these entities. So we have to understand that these NGOs are, in a lot of cases, the last line of defense for vulnerable communities. The work that they do is about access to water, is about access to food, is about support to refugees, and we see how it's important these days. And it's really about protecting the most vulnerable in situations of crisis, tension, and in places of the world where I would say any attack, any impact on your infrastructure can lead to human cost. So what we put in place in the CyberPeace Institute already, and that was the starting of the discussion that we had with the Partisia, is a program called the CyberPeace Builders, where we provide for free cybersecurity support to these NGOs. So we could, by providing this support, understanding the reality of the problematic, the fact that these NGOs are facing indiscriminated attack, like huge campaign of attack that are trying to impact everyone, and at the end of the day are impacting the most fragile, the one with the least cybersecurity capacity. So that's one type of a threat. The other type of threat is targeted attacks. Some of these NGOs, civil society actors, they are hosting data that are highly sensitive because of their mission, because of the community that they're protecting. So actors, criminal groups, or states are very interested into getting this data. So it's another type of attacks that are very, very targeted. And these NGOs are also gathering a lot of funds. I mean, you see this in every crisis. A lot of donation. We saw it after the invasion in Ukraine. There was a huge emotion in the community to provide funds to the NGOs that were going to help communities. This is driving funds towards humanitarian sector, and when there's funds, there's attractivity for criminal groups. So hence increasing the risk profile. So we put in place this program, and today, I mean, we have this capacity to help NGOs, but the problem is scale. How do we scale this support? Today in our program we have 50 NGOs, which is nice. I mean, it's operational. It's NGOs that are providing support to more than 350 million of people in 120 countries. But what can we do more? And that's why we start discussing with Partisia and Kurt in terms of what is missing to scale, is to exchange information, is to find a way to make sure that the knowledge that is gathered across these NGOs on threats, on problematics, on what works in terms of security, what doesn't work, would be shared in a secured and a trusted environments. And that's where we thought about how can we leverage the best of a blockchain, of this technology, to provide trust in an environment where trust is difficult to be a broker, and because of the sensitivity of the activities of this organization. So, Kurt, leaving you the floor to go into, what the ambition of the project.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you very much.
You need this, I guess.
It's a great honor to initiate this project with the CyberPeace Institute, because this is really a project that showcases what we can do with the Partisia blockchain, because we're bringing something completely new to blockchain, which is the ability to work on confidential data, which is really needed in this case. So I had some slides here. I guess they will pop up. I just need to continue there. Okay.
Yes, you get them.
Oh, there they are. Okay, perfect. Yes, so this is the problem that you described. We have this asymmetric warfare to some extent, where the attacker just needs to hit 1% and the defender needs to be 100% sure to protect the system. So this is clearly not working all the time. And in order to make this more efficient, you really need to share information. But sharing information is kind of a risky thing also. So you expose vulnerabilities. You also it may impact your reputation, and there might be other things that I'm not familiar with. But what we want to do here is to share this information in an efficient way and to avoid these negative externalities by sharing the information. And that's where the confidential sharing of intelligence comes into the play. And that's what the whole solution is all about. So this is about sharing private information, confidential information. So this is not what you usually would do with blockchain, because this is all about transparency. So this is the starting point for telling the story about Partisia. So let me just start with sort of the big picture power shift for the blockchain industry, where you have this cryptographic enforcement that can improve existing institution. You can make it easier to trade across borders and cross jurisdiction. So you basically solve that basic exchange game between buyers and sellers as one good example. So you're sort of replacing that coordinator in the economy, and you can do legally enforceable contracts with the blockchain. But what about the privacy? So we all have private information that goes into these kind of coordinations. So protecting that privacy is equally important, and to make this blockchain infrastructure a real sustainable infrastructure, you really need to solve for privacy in the same way such that this is done distributed and with no single point of trust. And that's what we do. And that's where the technology called multi-party computation comes into the play. So what we're really doing is we're adding this type of privacy, which is a fundamental new security model for handling confidential data. So you basically go in and protect data. It's very basic state, so it's at rest, in transit, and in process. So if you can do that, if you can operate on encrypted data, then you can sort of work on data wherever they are. You don't have to bring them into a perimeter. You can work with data where they are and work with them confidentially. And that's what we bring to Partisia blockchain. So it's interesting that we were actually doing the first commercial use of this technology at the same time as the Bitcoin protocol was evolved or released to the public. So there has been a parallel development of these two technologies, and this story about Partisia blockchain is really about merging these two technologies. So just very briefly, if you go back, one of the founders is Ivan Damko, who did the initial work on Merkle-Damko hash function on the blockchain space, and he did the first results in the multi-party computation field. And some of us came in and brought this from basic research to commercial use in 2008 and developed towards blockchain, and now we are bringing this and merging these technologies, MPC and blockchain, as a unified platform. And there's a lot of people involved today. So what we have in order to solve for this privacy was that we also invented a new type of Open Ledger as a platform for running this multi-party computation. So we actually ended up with a very efficient and rapid, eager public ledger that is scalable and used for running this type of multi-party computation. So it all came out with a new layer 1, and that is designed for running privacy-preserving computation. And it's also designed for interoperability, so bridging is native to this network because we want to collaborate with the rest of the community. So we are bringing in external coins as a means of payment on the network. But that's a different talk. Let's get back to the use case here. So it's a specific focus for the project is SDG flagship projects. So we already worked, actually it was yesterday, I think we initiated the NFT sale with Red and the Global Fund to raise for NGO. And it was actually quite successful. It was sold out in 2 minutes, as far as I was told. It was also collaboration with Binance charity. And we're working on addressing counterfeit medicine. We're working on healthcare, on humanitarian monetary aid. We are working on this project with confidential sharing of intelligence and self-sovereign identity. All of these use cases are someone you cannot solve without this privacy built-in. And that's kind of the purpose, to showcase what this new technology, what this new platform can do in order to move the technology to a next level. So I'll spend a little bit of time talking about the application. This is a work in progress. So this is just the initial thoughts on how to solve this. So this is the picture from the beginning of the talk, where we are solving this with confidential sharing of technology. But now you know we have the infrastructure that actually allows you to work on confidential data, and that's what we apply. So now you can start sharing. If you get attacked, you can actually share that immediately without exposing yourself, and everyone can be prepared for what is coming. So in the system, we have 3 parties. That someone is running the nodes, that is the trusted party. They run the encrypted computation and sharing all the confidential data. We have people, data providers, CyberPeace Institute and other NGOs providing their data into the system. And we have other people who is more like analysts. It could also be law enforcement coming in and learning from the system. So what we do is basically, the way we think about the system today is that we have a basic set of NGO that is running a basic system, and you have others coming in and contributing with additional data. And you have a very structured system for these indicators of compromises, so you can do the matching. You can end up with a result with matches and no matches, and you can share that information across the NGOs. And that's basically the purpose here, to give information back to the different parties involved. And that might be different information depending on which party we're talking about. So it could be some just aggregated information across all of these NGOs. It may also be that you have your CyberPeace Institute, as an example here, they get their numbers. It may also be that you are in a situation where you're allowed to know about what the different NGOs have of indicators. So you have a more specific split up of the result. Or you could go in and find specific, on a time scale, number of attacks.
And Kurt, if I may, this is what is
Sure.
important for these communities, that the level of confidentiality can be scaled, can be adapted, so that they can feel that they can share the knowledge and information if they want. At the same time, they will not waive out their anonymity. And that's very important for this community, exactly, because trust building is quite complicated.
Exactly. So and that's a good point in terms of these results is really something that you agree on. You can agree on any result, and you implement that in the system. And then you cannot change that unless you corrupt the entire system. So you protect all the raw data coming into the system. You agree on the output. And that's what people are getting. So it's a very high level of control of data and of privacy. So that's basically the system, and the platform is a very generic one to solve for this. So it's something that we have also applied to other fields. So we were working with the UK regulators on financial fraud. So this is about having banks sharing data on the individual transaction and using and combining that data to create these fraud patterns and to better give them better insight into attacking financial fraud. We're also working on a project on counterfeit medicine, where it's all about matching again, where you have where you need to find what is a counterfeit medicine, and give people warnings when they buy the medicine. So this is really all about trying to make the good guy collaborate in networks in order to solve the problem. Because if the bad actors, they smoothly work in network and the good guys sit there in their perimeters and try to fight that, they will be behind the game from the very beginning. So we need to establish a way to collaborate in a confidential way. That's why we have this one-liner. It takes a network to beat a network. We need the good guys to collaborate in order to fight this type of attacks. Thank you.
Thank you, Kurt. Thank you.